All right, let's get into the games. This man knows as much about the sport as anybody. Gary Danielson, CBS Sports lead college football analyst. And it's been a while. Happy holidays, Gary. Welcome back, buddy. How you doing?
Oh, thanks, guys. Hi, Brandon. Hi, Tiki. How you guys doing?
We're doing
Well,
well, Gary. Appreciate you getting on with us because you can answer this question, and I think it's become, very apparent with this specific college football playoff because of the type of teams that we're seeing. Clemson and Oklahoma, they have these spread offenses that are explosive. They try to put up 500 yards and 40 points a game. And on the other side, in the Cotton Bowl, it's Michigan State and Alabama who are old school. Which one of those philosophies wins? And doesn't matter that there's two different kinds in the league nowadays.
It's a good question. I think that philosophy is important as long as you believe in it and you recruit to it and you build it out over time. I still believe there are no shortcuts to success, that you don't trick people into winning championships, that too much talk is given to a hurry up, no huddle, and not enough talk is being given to, the right guard is controlling his man, the receiver's running a sharp route, the defensive back is playing his technique the way he was taught. If you have help in the middle, you can allow your guy to go to the post. If you don't, you got to go inside. It's just too many of the commentators get mesmerized by the trimmings of the game and not enough to the beef of the game. So anything can work if attention to the detail is there. But in this year, Stanford, who huddles up, is running a lot of the same plays that Chip Kelly is running at, used to run at Philadelphia. It's all the way you break the huddle or you go to the line of scrimmage. And I think the word spread and hurry up has kind of given too much weight to what's actually going on the field.
I want to live in the moment here, but it came up earlier in the show, and I'm curious if you would agree or disagree with this, Gary. We were talking about Stanford. It came up, they lose to Northwestern in week one. If they would have taken a bit of a different road and, I don't know, beat up on San Jose State or Cal Poly or somebody in relative proximity to Poly, are they playing today?
I'm not sure what I think the bigger question was, what if Ole Miss would have stopped Arkansas on the 4th and 25 lateral play?
Yeah.
Who would be playing today? I'm not even sure who would be, because Ole Miss would have made it to the SEC championship. Had they won with 2 losses, would Ohio State or Stanford be playing in the game? I have no idea, to tell you the truth. It does make for college football to be great talk, and it makes it for an interesting season from September on. I'll just put it this way. I'm glad Stanford played Notre Dame and Northwestern, and when you risk it, those things happen, but it also pays off because I think had Alabama or one of the major teams lost in the last game, I think Stanford would have won all the tiebreakers. So it would have paid off in the long run. This year, everybody held, the chalk held. So I think, the best teams are there to tell you the truth.
There you go. Don't really disagree. Just curious your thoughts on that. Gary Danielson, CBS Sports lead college football analyst. Gary, as you know, you breathe this stuff for a living. Tiki and I always talk about it, obviously doing a national show.
Sure.
But as we get to the Final Four, there are a bunch of football fans, maybe from Philly or Chicago or New York, big cities that don't necessarily have a great football presence collegiately, that parachute in and don't necessarily know the names of some of the players. Give us a couple of names of high first-round picks that will be playing on Sunday that we'll see today.
Whew, that's a good one. As good as the quarterbacks are in this game is not dominated by the quarterbacks except for probably, for NFL style football.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield and Deshaun Watson are dominating the college game, but there's still going to be questions about whether they can dominate the NFL. I think you'd have to look at the running back. I like P. Ryan for Oklahoma. I think he's going to be a great player at the next level. At Alabama, you could basically ruffle through their roster, put your finger down on almost any unit, and you're going to find a couple players there to play in the football game. I think – it's funny, as I've done all these interviews, and I've had to do it all week, you go on the internet and you start reading articles about everybody. And it's almost embarrassing how much is written about all these teams that I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to be an expert on. It's just amazing, the coverage of these football games and what they have. And college football is a little bit different, I guess. But, I think that even a player like Jake Coker, who might not be the star of the football team, might be the important player in this game for Alabama, because Michigan State is going to be bound and determined to stop Derrick Henry in this football game.
Yeah, no, it is. I talk about you reading articles on the internet about all these players who you've seen all year long. You just don't know a ton about them. I read something about Jared Coker's brother, who is in the Air Force, and he's flying missions over Iraq or Afghanistan, somewhere over in the Middle East, and helping fight ISIS. It's really compelling, the stories, the backstories of a lot of these guys.
It really is.
That you get the.
We do it every week. I mean, you go into these places. It's not like doing an NFL game.
Yeah.
Where you pretty much know everybody. You go in there and you start talking to these kids and you hear their stories. It's like, okay, that's a good story. That's a good story. There's 100 of them almost. I think these two games of what's going to happen is a lot has been going on and what happened in the past. Let's go first with the game between Oklahoma and Clemson. I think a lot has to do with what happened a year ago. After that game, Bob Stoops, a very successful Bob Stoops, who's been slipping as of late, took that beat down to Clemson a year ago and made a tough decision. He let go his two offensive coordinators, Josh Heupel and Jay Norville. Josh Heupel won a national championship for Bob as a quarterback. Jay Norville was a guy that's been with him forever, one of his best friends. His families are probably best friends. And he made a tough decision that Oklahoma needed to change. They went out and got Lincoln Riley. They became a little different with the air raid, actually back to the way Bob Stoops started at Oklahoma when he had Mike Leach as his first offensive coordinator at Oklahoma. And then slowly they refined the air raid and ran the ball just enough to keep everybody off balance. I mean, it's an interesting decision, a tough decision that Bob Stoops made, all as a result of that game when they got pasted a year ago. In the Alabama-Michigan State game, I think it goes back to the 2011 Cap Bowl. That was that 2010 season, if you remember that Alabama team that lost to Cam Newton in a game they were controlling.
Yeah.
They took that game, pasted Michigan State 49-7. Everybody talks about that game being a turning point for Alabama as they went on to win back-to-back national championships. But Mark D'Antonio went into that locker room, and I know firsthand because I know people with the program, and pointed to Alabama and said, if you guys want to be champions, that's where we have to go. And that was as much a turning point for the Michigan State program when the guys on that team realized that Mark and what he was talking about and to achieve excellence, where they had to go. And that's been a steady climb for Michigan State. They beat Stanford in the Rose Bowl. They beat Baylor a year ago. They beat Ohio State in the big, they beat Ohio State, and then the Big Ten championship they beat them. So they've slowly built their team, and I think they relish the opportunity to play Alabama again in this big bowl game.
No, you're right. This story of the college football playoff is a lot about the coaches and the way that they've handled it. I want to jump back to Bob Stoops because of one of the negative stories that's kind of resurfacing because of the media day and really access to Joe Mixon, who had a serious incident a couple of years ago, was suspended from the team for punching a female student in the face, but then didn't really answer the questions. There is a video that exists that nobody has really seen it. Do you think that he handled that the right way?
I don't know. I really don't, Tiki. I mean, the world is so complicated nowadays. Things that used to happen all the time in private and were handled in private are now very public. Mm-hmm. And when you're a public person, you better be ready to handle it. I mean, I don't know if you have kids. I had 4 of them that went through college.
Yeah.
And I wonder how when they were 18, 19, 20 years old, the mistakes, some of them very serious, like Joe Mixon made, how they really handled not only that incident, but a rehabilitation from that incident. If you believe in rehabilitation like I do, you have to stand there and answer the tough questions. Probably not did he handle it right, but I wonder if the team and the setting for handling that is the right time to do it. Maybe Oklahoma should have set up a time before this weekend for him to step up and answer the tough questions that needed to be answered before he was allowed to play football again and participate in a privilege of playing for Oklahoma.
Gary, before let's go, is Gary Danielson, CBS Sports lead college football analyst here on Tiki and Tierney, getting ready for the 2 games today. Well, one today, one tonight. I don't know if you're comfortable making a prediction. Number one, are you? Are you okay with the predictions here? I know some
Sure.
guys.
There's no ramifications.
I got you. Just making sure,
There's
brother.
no actual coin on it, Gary.
Where's my money going, Gary? Give me some money.
I do. I do think that Alabama learned a valuable lesson from a year ago.
Okay.
I thought they were a superior team to Ohio State a year ago. They went away from Derrick Henry in that game. I remember after the game, I really questioned Lane Kiffin of trying to be a little too cute when they had a really special the game. Remember, they were winning that game 21-6. Derrick Henry was, I thought, the difference maker in that game, and he went over 20 minutes without carrying the football. I think they learned their lesson. I think they're going to continue to be Alabama. I think they're too deep. Now, Michigan State is the most balanced team with the best quarterback that fits the system that Alabama will play this year. But I think this is the best, all-around defensive team Nick Saban has had.
Okay.
On the defensive line, linebackers, rushing the passer, and their ability to cover receivers. I like Alabama. I think they should win the football game.
All right.
The other game, I think it's a toss-up, but I really am going to go with Oklahoma. I think they're a more and they have more ways to beat you than Clemson. I think Stoops and the boys will figure out a way to control Watson. He's dynamic, but I think he's more of a one-man team, and I think Oklahoma will win the game.
Bama and the Sooners. There it is. Gary Danielson. Gary, have fun tonight. Be safe. Happy New Year, and thanks for a couple of minutes, man. We know you're busy.
Appreciate you, Gary.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, guys.
There you go.